obfuscation, delay, undermining. If you're one of those 20% of the people and you think those tactics and techniques are going to help you, they will not, because I will run right over you. I will achieve the president's intent.
CBS News obtained those remarks by new FEMA Chief David Richardson at his first all-hands meeting this week. Richardson replaced Cameron Hamilton one day after Hamilton told the House subcommittee he opposes the elimination of FEMA. The change at the top of America's emergency response agency comes less than a month before the start of hurricane season, and as billions of dollars dedicated to storm preparation have been cut. Conservationists have long been working to shore up natural barriers to flooding from storms, but those efforts don't come quick. They say they're combating developers and the growing effects of climate change. We went to Florida to visit a preservation effort decades in the making. It represents the conscience of a community, a 73-acre stretch along South Florida's Atlantic coast, left untouched by the sprawl of urban development just on the horizon.
You can see all the little fossils that are embedded in here that continue to build the formation.
Sarah Martin Kittredge is its caretaker.
And so if this wasn't protected, it would be more high-density development. This habitat that we have here on this shoreline provides nesting ground for sea turtles and for shorebirds and seabirds. And if it was developed, it would have much less chance of doing those things.
The Blowing Rocks Nature Preserve has a chance, thanks to neighbors from more than half a century ago. Hoping to stave off development, they bought the land outright and donated it to the Nature Conservancy in 1969, an independent nonprofit entrusted with restoring and protecting open spaces.
This is a tropical tree that grows here in South Florida, and it is one of the backbone plants of our maritime hammock.
So was this here 30 years ago?
This was not here 30 years ago, actually.
This cutting-edge conservation effort called for a hard stop to public use, barring all vehicle traffic, reconnecting waterways altered from their natural routes, and stripping non-native and invasive species from the habitat.
We get the seeds from the trees and from the shrubs and from the perennials.
With help from volunteers like Brenda Lines, the Conservancy replanted the natural flora.
You collect them from around here?
They've got to be indigenous to Blowing Rocks. We don't bring anything.
Because that's the problem.
Yes.
It's taken half a century, but scientists say they've not only preserved this barrier island, but others along its chain.
Blowing Rocks Preserve is a wonderful example of coastal protection. We have a very robust beach dune, and that dune is what protects everything that's further inland. You've got this wonderful maritime hammock, and you've got our wetlands and our mangrove forests, and that's all providing that habitat for spawning fish and sea turtles and sharks. And so by having this entire kind of slice of the island intact is
and
very
layered.
rare.
And layered,
yeah.
right?
Still, it remains vulnerable, and not just to a warming climate.
The Earth has responded to sea level rises in the past. It is not a catastrophe.
But Rutgers University geologist Dr. Kenneth Miller says, to our further need for expansion.
What becomes a problem is when you put a building, a house, a condo, a restaurant on a barrier island. And then sea level will want to wipe out that barrier island as it's rising. Marshes are a real critical resource that are underappreciated. They serve as a buffer against storms. We're losing large percentages of our marshes over the next decades.
Problems even barrier islands like Palm Beach are experiencing. And their defense, Miller insists, is growing weaker. As the Trump administration vows to root out waste and corruption, it has eliminated more than $3.6 billion in FEMA flood abatement and infrastructure funding. It's also cut grants for climate-related research at many universities, including some impacting Dr. Miller's work on rising tides.
The United States Geological Survey, which is undergoing, again, unprecedented cuts. They're the ones that maintain these tide gauge data. They may not be maintained, the one at the end of our street. And that is a real hazard if that happens.
For Blowing Rock's official land manager, the key to saving precious habitats is raising awareness. The fight to preserve these areas is working.
Is this the answer?
Protecting these natural spaces in the first place is absolutely one of the most important steps. Is we need to protect what we have intact already.
We should note we reached out to FEMA and the Department of Government Efficiency for comment, and we did not receive a response.
What she said at the very end there about raising awareness being such a key, it feels like with so many of these stories that we do about conservation, that's it. Once people know, it's like, okay, now what? What do I need to do?
Yeah, well, they took the time and they did the hard work of moving forward, and it worked.
And
it worked there.
Right, and it just takes more time.